Hello and welcome. I am Magnus Edholm, and thank you for joining us in our little studio today. Today I have two special guests joining me. We got Linda Krumbholz of Siemens and Stuart Carlaw from ABI Research, and we're going to talk about some really exciting AI-related stuff from an analyst's point of view. We'll talk about number, we're going to talk about trends, and I believe it's going to be a very eye-opening session indeed, and I hope also that you will get some insights that you might find useful in your daily business. That said, why don't we start with introductions? Linda, why don't you introduce yourself to the lovely audience following us?
Yeah, so my name is Linda Krumbholz. I'm with the Siemens family since 20 years now. I'm responsible for the Siemens Xcelerator ecosystem and marketplace team. So, and very much looking forward to today's discussion because Siemens, this is where we combine the real and the digital worlds and where we are pioneering the next wave of AI.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being here, Linda. And Stuart, how about you?
Hi, I'm Chief Research Officer at ABI Research. I've been with the company for 20 years. My role really is to connect those companies within the user space, so those are deploying technologies, with those that are actually creating the technology and make sure that those needs and requirements are best fit.
Okay, very good, very good. So supporting them, so how do you kind of study up on how do you get your insights into that?
That's a good question. I think there's a variant way that we look at the world. We do a lot of end-user research, so looking at what our customers really want. Then we look at kind of the technology development side of things. Are those technology developments meeting the sentiment of the buyers, what they need, how they're being deployed, and are the capabilities within that environment matching the technology requirements as well?
All right. From an ABI research vantage point, what are the most noticeable trends that are defining the AI landscape as of today?
I think that's a really interesting question, and I think for me, the first thing is that we have multiple stages that are advanced very quickly at the moment. 2 years ago, we were very much in that descriptive AI stage where we're looking at predictive analysis. We've then moved to last year is very much about generative AI. Now this year we're talking about agentic AI, and then probably the second phase of that is going to be agentic systems. But again, already we're beginning to move to a discussion around physical AI. So we're actually advancing at pace from a vendor perspective, a rapid tick from, say, very deterministic AI all the way through to very complex systems. The one thing I think that's been under-talked about recently is the fact that from a vendor perspective, they are still much earlier in those phases. From a user perspective, they're still very much earlier in those phases. They're still focused around, can I get my data fabric in place? Right. Can I get my architectures there where I can start leveraging complex systems? So there's a little bit of a dichotomy occurring at the moment where we've got very advanced technological innovation happening from a vendor perspective, and the user market is struggling to catch up with that.
Gotcha, that's very interesting because looking at us Siemens, I mean, we are kind of both, aren't we? Yeah. So Linda, from your point of view, I mean, you have the traditional time to market, accelerating speed, become more flexible. What is the main driver for the accelerated adoption of AI across all types of industries?
Well, I believe that we have positive trends and negative influences, why this is the case. I think when we talk about more negative things, it's of course this volatile supply chain at the moment, is the geopolitical tensions we are seeing. It's about skill shortage. So these are more the negative aspects, but there are so many positive right now. So one of them, for example, is the data and the connectivity. I think we are seeing increasing data amounts within all the companies. So everybody has now data available. Everybody uses sensors, uses IoT and so on to get to those data. So this is positive. So we are seeing even the most traditional companies doing this and learning out of the data. So this is the positive thing, adoption. The second piece is, I believe that we are seeing first use cases which show ROI. Yeah, so we are seeing positive use cases. We are seeing good results on this one. So the people are starting to trust AI here as well. So this is the positive side and why we are seeing an accelerated adoption across the industries.
Right. And when you talk now about industrial AI, and this is completely off track, we don't have this question in here, but I'm going to take a chance anyhow. So perhaps there's people out there wondering, why is he talking about industrial AI and how does that differ from the AI I'm using when I'm writing a speech? Or, well, I'm not writing a speech, I'm getting a speech written for my friend's 50th birthday. That's one way of using AI, I guess. But industrial AI, what's the thing with that?
Yeah, I think we're seeing 3 areas of AI. So the first one was machine learning, which was very easy, and where you have one problem, one solution. So which is, for example, the inspection, quality inspection, where you have then shown some images and so on. So the AI, pretty simple. The next era was the generative AI with the general purpose. So you see now the nice texts, the nice speeches which are which are there for us, the synthetic images and so on. So this is the second piece. But the third one, this is the most promising one, and what we are happy to pioneer here is the industrial grade AI. So meaning we need to have the deep connection to the real world. We need to bring now the AI capabilities to the industries of these worlds. With that, we need to have robust, explainable, and purposeful AI available for industries, isn't it?
Yeah. So that is a lot of things you have to do. So where do you get started?
Oh, yeah. I think you can start already with the earlier things. So using the co-pilots, using co-pilots in the manufacturing plants. So helping our engineers and customers' engineers to drive their production more efficiently, yeah, with the help of AI and the co-pilots. But the second piece is also on that we are having digital twins for products, for production, for the factories itself, so that we have really built up a virtual world where we test and try out AI in the virtual world before we then translate it into the real world. I think this is how we can start in a very early phase with the product, with the production, with the design phase, simulation, and then bring it to across the entire factory.
Okay, one more before I go back. I'm going to go back to you, Stuart, in a few minutes. But one more question, though. What would you be, in a very short answer, please, what are the main benefit that early adopters gain from starting with AI now? Because AI is not coming, AI is here, right? So what's the main advantages early adopters get?
Yeah, it's of course about training, isn't it? So we are training now the people very early on. We train our people, but we also train the AI with all the data which is available. So with that, I think there is so much change management happening in the companies, our own company, but also customers' companies. So it's really important that we start early with this one, that we train our people, that we help them to trust AI in order to do their job.
Good. Thank you very much, Linda.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an analogy I've been working on. I'm pretty proud of it. So Stuart, so listen to me now. So if you start working all in or go all in industrial AI now without having a foundation set up, it's kind of like having like a turbocharged engine, which you put in a car chassis that hasn't got any brakes, no steering wheel, and surely no GPS system. What do companies need to do in order to ensure that they have the fundament to go industrial AI?
That's a really good question, and I think this is the golden trap that a lot of companies fall into. First of all, the data architecture within your organization needs to be there. You need to do a lot of work on normalizing, cleansing data, creating a data environment where you can start leveraging it. Then you have to map that knowledge to where it needs to be used. And I think that's where it's really interesting when you see things like RapidMiner and the knowledge graphs. They're enabling some of those advanced data layers to be able to be accessed by AI applications. I think that's the first part of it. The second part of it is really about having a definable ROI that you can drive towards in terms of your projects. We've got a lot of projects in the AI domain that are stuck in that POC purgatory, sat there kind of going round in loops, and because there needed to be a story around AI. I think the ones that really succeed are focused on solving real-world issues and applying sound economics to it as well, working fast, re-evaluating those projects, and co-creating with a wider team within the organization. I think that's the other part of it, is that if you're going to assemble a team to look at AI within your organization, it can't just be OT, it can't just be IT executives, it has to be a broad base of expertise brought together in order to create a successful execution of a product that's going to give you definable, measurable ROI at the end in a way that you can then use that as a springboard into the next step and the next step after that. So building momentum through a solid foundation with the right people on the bus, the right team in place, and then a definable outcome.
Right. And I mean, also I've been working many years. I've been around for 26 years. I did my fair share of digital transformation in various companies. And I mean, a digital transformation without AI, I mean, you're going to jump in and bump into some hurdles. Now we can navigate those hurdles. Based on your experience, Stuart, are there like some obvious hurdles that most companies will run into as they start implementing industrial AI?
I think the first hurdle is that the realization that you can't do this alone.
There you go.
I think a lot of our customers, especially in the end user department, have the first iteration. We'll build this. They get to it. The complexity is increasing tenfold year after year after year, and there comes a realization that we can't build the castle on ourselves. We need to have subcontractors that are going to build the walls or the drawbridge or whatever. So I think that then becomes an equation of like who do I partner with? Who's the right choice here? Who's going to bring me the best benefit here? And I think the other part of it is also funding.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush. A lot of the funding for this, and a lot of these AI applications are in the OT domain, which seems to be the lesser funded part of the operation when you look at kind of the digital envelope compared to the IT department.
Right.
So it's actually being very canny about where you involve different budget centers within those projects and bring that IT department in there as a strong partner that can leverage some of the IT budget in the OT domain as well.
All right. No, that's very interesting.
Let me add two.
Yes, please.
Let me add two.
Two.
So besides this funding issue, and of course having the ecosystem, which is super essential for it, I think it's also still the trust, which is a problem. And I think failure is not an option in the industrial space. So this is why it needs to prove right. And it needs to be robust. And people need to trust in it. So this is still, I believe, a problem that we are seeing out there. And the second piece, which I wanted to really bring on now.
I'm excited.
The second piece is, the complexity, of course. The complexity of the legacy systems. Because I'm very deeply engaged at the moment with our own IT systems in the company. I know what I'm talking about. So this is huge. And it's such a massive transformation also here. To touch this complexity of legacy systems, I think this is also not to be underestimated.
Magnus, if I actually build on that, one other thing to add. But I think part of the problem we see with it is that the attitude is this: we're going to create a solution, then that goes into operation, then we're done with it. And I think that the lessons learned are that this is a continual process. If you're going to invest in an AI on your product, you are going to have to go many times through that iteration process to make sure it's right and fit for purpose. I mean, examples like the spot welding solution that Audi use, built around vision-based systems, that was redesigned 3 times and optimized 3 times based on new toolkits, new language models, new availability. So I think that when you talk about complexity, the complexity actually doesn't end. It continues. So when you're picking your partner and you're picking your route to application success, you really have to be thinking about, like, it's not just now and getting this one project in place. This project is going to have a lifetime of maybe 10 to 15 years. So how do I support that long term?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been working on for so many years. And also what we have at Siemens, we call it the digital enterprise. And I think it kind of comes down what Linda and Stuart have been talking about, how we are able to combine the real and digital world. We have a content flow data. It could be a horizontal flow data, but it could also be a vertical flow data connecting top floor with shop floor. We're generating huge amounts of data floating around between all the stakeholders involved in the development of the product and creating the most efficient production environment. So what's next with AI? Can one actually say what's next? I mean, we're moving at a very high speed. How do you look ahead? What's coming next?
Yeah, I believe it's about autonomous agents, of course. So things that are not just having one single task to fulfill, but really having multiple step tasks to fulfill and then also execute. Yeah. For example, when we are talking about autonomous manufacturing instead of predictive manufacturing, then we are talking about some systems which are not just identifying the problem, but then really executing directly. So, for example, in your manufacturing, if I have a downtime there, that the system, the Agentic AI, can tell on how to improve this one and how to reschedule the production system, for example. I think this should be the next step.
But you said autonomous system. How far away are we from that? I mean, we look at a traditional manufacturing environment. We're automating things. We might have virtual PLCs at the moment. We do virtual commissioning, which is not really a new thing, but now we can do it even better with AI. So how far away are we with that? And perhaps from a Siemens perspective, I mean, we are a pretty big manufacturer of stuff as we are. in Erlangen, Amberg, and all the facilities around the globe. What is your feeling of that?
Yeah, I think when we see Amberg in Germany, for example, this is a plant where we have electronic parts. And this is where we are applying already self-optimized production. So yeah, this is where our plant is already in the case of having agentic AI being used in order to apply being goal-oriented. I think this is the case. So saying, hey, I have such ESG targets in front of me.
ESG?
The sustainability targets. Okay. I have sustainability targets in front of me. So how can I optimize my production system in order to achieve this? This is what we are doing in Amberg, for example, as well. So we are there in some parts. I think what we see in the future is more of this. And for example, the human being is more than a strategic commander in the future, while the agentic AI will do a lot of tasks by themselves autonomously.
Oh my God, that's good. Sounds good.
Huh?
I probably add a couple of things to that as well. I don't necessarily disagree. I think the first one is a lot of the focus we have historically has been around traditional cloud architectures with everything going up into the cloud and being executed there. I think what we're going to begin to see, and we are beginning to see, is more emphasis around edge-based environments for inference.
Like on the machine and the lines?
Maybe on the premises, on the machine. And I think when you start looking at things like the incorporation of small language models in a lot of the platforms now to enable those execution environments to do much closer to the point of manufacture. And I think this is kind of to your point as well, Linda, I believe. When you look at the vast majority of industrial operations, when you look at AI adoption, it's at one end or the other end of the operation. It's either the supply chain goods in, or is it quality assurance outwards? And I think what we're going to be seeing, and I think this is the biggest move, is that encroachment of AI into the real world production phase. I also think this also comes to your point earlier about trust. The biggest thing that manufacturers are scared of is downtime and poor quality performance.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest hurdle we've got to get over as an industry, is help them trust that the AI is not going to introduce unplanned downtime. Yeah. And I think that's why we'll probably have human on the loop rather than in the loop still for a perceivable future.
So what does it take to become an industrial AI leader?
This is to you, I think.
To me?
Yeah.
Just leave it.
You sure?
Throw it out there. We're a bit too biased, I guess, Linda and I. But
yes.
So as a company or as a supplier or as a company?
Your choice, sir. You choose.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks very much for that.
You're welcome.
Well, I think there's two things. There's an element of scale here as well. And I think if you're looking at industrial in particular, you need to have intimate knowledge of the environment you actually operate in these AI systems in. You have to be able to deal with 147 different machine languages being kind of incorporated within one AI model. You also have to have the ability to be able to support this in the long term.
Yeah.
And I think that narrows the equation down significantly into who's going to be your key partners. And I think there's some really interesting aspects here that are occurring. I think there's a really healthy understanding that you're not going to be able to do everything yourself. So even with Siemens, you've got relationship with NVIDIA, with AWS that are driving an ecosystem play here that can have accretive benefits for everybody. And I think that's healthy. For a vendor side, for a customer side, what do they need to be doing? What's going to make them successful? I think it really comes down to understanding they can't own it all, they can't build it all. They've got to look very clearly at their partners, and they've got to base their whole raison d'etre around how they're attacking AI in these environments about delivering real-world benefit to their own operations.
Right. So I completely agree with you. And I don't think that any company, any country, or anyone can do this on their own. And I mean, also here we have partnerships. We got AWS, we got NVIDIA, and that is crucial. Okay, that was not my mic. So now we're going to hear anything from Stuart now. Your mic is gone. Anyway, so what we have here at Siemens is obviously a Siemens Xcelerator, which you can actually find out more about on the web and talk about. So Linda, I know you are extremely skilled on the Siemens Xcelerator. How does Siemens Xcelerator match to what Stuart said? He talked about ecosystem, partnering, portfolio. Can you give us a pitch on that topic?
I think it was great that Stuart started with it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be just a promotion. Siemens Xcelerator is exactly applying everything you just said. So it's about having portfolio which is easy to understand, which is plug and play, easy to to scale. It's about an ecosystem because, yes, we understand that we need to have other companies helping us along the journey. So, which means not just the big corporates you were mentioning, it's also about the startups, and we are having a lot of startups at our booth, and which are really super helpful and which have so great solutions out there. So this is important to us. And in order to make it democratizing a bit the technology, we have a marketplace. So everybody can look at the marketplace, seeing what is there from Siemens, but also from the ecosystem. So what kind of solutions do we have for them at hand? Mm-hmm. So this is, we are well prepared for the next thing.
Maybe I can add to, and I think it talks to your point again, Linda, is the fact that I think the company that takes their customers with them, their customers are faced with this situation now where they realize they do not have the skill set to develop their own systems. They realize that now that the organizational stress that's being delivered to them by the vendor community, by the acceleration and the technology path, is something they're never going to catch up with. So the company that can actually take them through that journey as painlessly as possible is the one that's going to succeed. And I also think that one of the assets that you don't talk about much as a company is Mendix and that low-code, no-code environment. I think that has a really exceptional part to play in democratizing access to AI and actually bringing it onto the shop floor where you can have OT-centric operators delving in complex IT environments without having to go through a long process of learning those skills.
Exactly, and those of you out there don't know in Mendix, it's what we call a low-code solution, and it's able to collect data from various data lakes, and then you can build environments giving the various stakeholders information in the format that they need. At the end of the day, most of us are working on the same type of data, but for my specific task being, say, a plant engineer, it might be different from Linda being a product designer. But at the end of the day, we're working with similar data, and that's where Mendix come into play and making sure that you get the data served in the way that you need it. I'm looking at the time. We're still good, but perhaps to round things off, I know we can talk a lot about this, but any final words? And I'm going to start with you, Linda. What would be, from your point of view, with your experience, going industrial AI, what are the key takeaways?
So it's the first time, at least for myself, that I really understand that IT-OT convergence is super important. Yeah? Information technologies, so all the business data we are having, plus the operational data, we need to have everything at hand in order to train our AI, our industrial-grade AI, to have really the connection to the digital, to the real world. Yeah, to have tangible, solution-oriented, outcome-oriented solutions with AI. So I think this is, for me, the most important thing. I think we are looking at the autonomy of AI in the future without forgetting that human being is still important. Absolutely. Plays a big role still, but some of the repetitive tasks are being now compensated by AI in the future.
Stuart?
I mean, I think when you boil it down, it comes down to a simple set of instructions that everyone should follow. So, number one, ground your project in ROI. Number two is get the right people on the bus when you're doing a project. Number three is build for velocity. So be prepared to fail fast, and you're going to fail.
But you got to recover faster.
Recover faster, exactly.
Yeah.
Be prepared that it's a long iterative process.
Right.
And I think the other part of it is pick your partners carefully. You don't want to be running down technological bunny holes or being tied into models. You need to be in an environment where it's flexible, where you can start growing with that organization and your solution can grow as your competency grows and your familiarity with the benefits of AI can be to your business. So they're I think the key foundational rules that I know they sound simple, but you'd be surprised how many companies don't follow those and end up in that purgatory.
All right. And you as ABI Research are able also to support that type of activities in the industry, or how would you do that?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of our work is really around identifying correct technology choice, architecture, and also partner choice. I mean, that's the biggest question we get at the moment is like, who should I work with?
Right.
Who's going to deliver for me within the environment, and who's going to be a long-term partner that's going to be able to deliver and augment my team? I think that one thing we haven't talked about here is there's the element of trust between the customer and the vendor as well, especially when you're talking about mission-critical data. there's still an element now of distrust about where is my data going, where is it being housed, how is it going to be used, is it going to be used, accessed by my customers? So I think that element of trust and can I pick a partner that I can trust to be a good custodian of my data, can be a good broker of my information, and allow me to do what I need to do to be innovative, but not expose me to risk as well.
Excellent, fantastic. So if you are looking at going all in industrial AI, which obviously you should do because there are clear benefits, as we heard from Stuart and Linda doing so. You need to go start a project, you're going to have a defined ROI, return on investment, like a project plan laid out. You should start working on the foundation model. How is your data sorted out? Where do you have your data? And then also make sure you're connecting with the correct partner, because this is something you might be able to do it on your own, but I assure you, you'd be better off working with a decent setup of partners. You got to select the right partners. Linda and Stuart, it was a true pleasure having you here in this little studio of mine. And thank you very much for your time, and it was really greatly appreciated. So thank you for that.